Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about men. When a man walks away, when he starts pulling back, that doesn't always mean he's done. Oh no. Sometimes it just means he's wrestling with feelings he doesn't understand yet. See, men are wired differently. We don't process emotions the way women do. We retreat. We go quiet. We act like nothing's wrong, but inside it's chaos. When a man pulls away, he's not necessarily rejecting you. He's testing his emotions. That space he creates isn't always about you. It's about him trying to make sense of what he feels. See, ladies, men don't like to sit in their feelings. They've been taught to be tough, to be strong, to be in control. So when love starts to shake that foundation, their instinct is to back up and breathe. He'll start questioning himself. Do I really feel this much? Am I losing focus? Am I too attached? It's not that he doesn't care. It's that he cares so much it scares him. When a man starts feeling deeply, he gets uncomfortable. Because for a lot of men, vulnerability feels like weakness. He'll start overthinking things, replaying conversations, overanalyzing moments, even convincing himself that he's better off alone. It's his defense mechanism. He's trying to find balance between his heart and his ego. That's why when he pulls away, you'll notice he becomes distant, quiet, or sometimes even cold. It's not because his feelings have faded, but because he's trying to control them. You might catch yourself wondering, why would he step back if he loves me? But the truth is, love makes a man feel exposed. It challenges his independence. And before he lets you too close, he needs to feel that he can stand on his own. When he distances himself, he's observing you from afar, watching if you'll chase him, if you'll panic, or if you'll respect the space he needs. Because when a man pulls away, he's not only testing his emotions, he's also testing the connection. He wants to see if what you have is strong enough to survive silence. Now, don't mistake that silence for rejection. When a man takes time away, his mind becomes his loudest companion. He starts to realize the difference between peace and emptiness. He'll think he needs space, but when the quiet stretches too long, he begins to feel that void, that emptiness that used to be filled by your presence. That's when clarity starts to settle in. He begins to understand what he truly feels, and more importantly, what he truly wants. During this phase, a man won't admit it, but he's paying attention. He'll notice if you're still standing firm, not chasing, not begging. That gives him a strange kind of respect for you. Because a woman who can love him and still let him go earn his understanding, that's the kind of woman who stays on his mind. When he's away, he's measuring his emotions against the reality of losing you. That test he set up for himself, it starts turning into regret. So when a man pulls away, don't rush to fix it. That distance is where his heart and his mind start to argue. And that argument is what brings him closer to realizing what he truly feels for you. Before he ever misses you enough to return, he has to test his own emotions. And when he does, that's when the truth about his love begins to unfold. His silence is a space for realization, not indifference. When a man goes quiet, most women instantly feel that sting of doubt. You start thinking he doesn't care anymore, or he's losing interest. But that silence isn't always the absence of emotion. Sometimes it's where his feelings finally start to take shape. Men don't always talk through their emotions like women do. They process in silence. That's their way of sorting through confusion, pride, and vulnerability. When he's quiet, he's not erasing you from his mind. He's actually trying to understand why your voice still echoes in his head, even when you're not around. In that quiet space, he starts remembering little things. The way you laughed when he said something funny, the way you looked at him when you believed in him, the comfort of your energy when words weren't even needed. All those details that didn't seem important at the time start coming back to him like soft whispers. Silence gives him the time to listen to those whispers. And for a man, that's when realization begins, in the stillness, not in the noise. You see, when men are hurt, confused, or overwhelmed, they tend to retreat into themselves. They don't want to talk. They don't want to explain. They just want to think. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they feel too much and don't know how to express it without losing control. Silence becomes their shield. But here's the thing about silence. It has a way of turning the mind into a mirror. And that mirror starts reflecting back everything he tried to ignore, the mistakes, the missed chances, the moments he should have handled differently. That's when realization starts to hit. He begins to see what he had, what he lost, and what it meant. He starts to feel the weight of your absence in a way that words can't describe. And it's not because he stopped caring, it's because he cared so much that it scared him into stillness. Silence is where he faces himself. It's where he comes to terms with the truth that maybe he walked away too soon, or that he pushed you away when he should have held on tighter. But here's the beauty in it. That silence, though painful for you, is necessary for him. It's the space where growth happens. He's not out there forgetting you. He's out there realizing your value. Every quiet night, every empty morning, every scroll through his phone where he stops on your name but doesn't text, those moments are teaching him something. He's learning what your presence truly meant. So when a man goes silent, don't assume it's indifference. That pause isn't the end, it's the process. It's the part where he learns to understand the depth of his own feelings. His silence is not the closing of a door. It's the moment he finally starts to hear his own heart speaking your name. Before he misses you, he'll act like he doesn't need you. That's one of the most confusing things about men, how they can care so deeply but pretend so well. When a man starts to feel the weight of emotions, he doesn't know how to handle. His pride steps in like a bodyguard. He starts convincing himself that he's fine without you. He tells his friends he's moving on. He tells himself he's better off, and he'll even act like he's living his best life. But that's a performance, a show he puts on to protect his ego from the truth that he still feels something strong for you. He might post more on social media, show up where he knows you might see him, or suddenly start focusing on his work or the gym. It's not about growth in that moment. It's about distraction. He's trying to fill the silence that your absence created. When he acts like he doesn't need you, it's not because he's over you. It's because he's fighting the part of him that still wants you. See, a man's pride doesn't like to admit that love has power over him. That's why, instead of sitting in his feelings, he hides behind a mask of indifference. He'll keep himself busy, tell people he's just doing him, and act like he's never been better. But behind all that, there's a quiet ache he can't shake. He starts noticing the little things, how his phone doesn't light up like it used to, how his days feel longer, how the laughter doesn't sound the same, but he won't admit that yet, not to anyone, not even to himself, because right now he's in that stubborn phase where he's trying to prove that he doesn't need what he actually misses the most. Every man goes through that stage. It's his pride's last attempt to stay in control. The funny thing is, that act of not caring only delays the inevitable, because the more he pretends, the more he starts to realize how empty pretending feels. When he's sitting alone at night, when the noise quiets down and nobody's around to see the act, that's when the truth creeps in. He starts to think about how you made things easier, how your presence used to bring peace to his chaos, and that's when the cracks in his armor start to show. So when he acts like he doesn't care, don't let that fool you. That's the prelude to missing you. Before a man admits his heart is involved, he'll go through a phase of denial. He'll try to act like you never mattered, but that's just him wrestling with the truth he's not ready to face. Because once the pretending fades, once the silence settles in, he'll realize that acting like he didn't need, you only made him miss you more. A man's pride often delays his vulnerability. That pride is one of the strongest walls he builds around himself, not because he doesn't want to feel, but because he's afraid of what feeling too much might make him do. Men are taught early on to be tough, to hide their emotions, to never let anyone see them weak. So when love enters the picture, when a woman touches his heart in ways he didn't expect, that pride kicks in like a defense system. It whispers to him, don't let her see how much she means to you, even when his heart is screaming the opposite. When a man starts to fall deeply, his pride becomes his biggest obstacle. He'll want to open up. He'll want to say what's really on his mind, but something inside him resists. That resistance comes from fear of being rejected, misunderstood, or seen as too emotional. Vulnerability feels like exposure to him. It's standing unguarded in a world that's told him strength is silence. So instead of expressing what's in his heart, he shuts down. He'll say he's fine. He'll change the subject. He'll use humor to dodge the truth. But behind those small defenses is a man who feels deeply and just doesn't know how to say it out loud. His pride will make him wait. It'll stop him from calling first, even when he wants to hear your voice. It'll keep him from admitting that he misses you, even when your absence eats at him. He'll sit there, phone in hand, typing a message and deleting it, not because he doesn't care, but because that pride keeps whispering, don't be the one to fold first. That delay, that hesitation, is the battlefield between his heart and his ego. His heart wants to reach for you, but his pride wants to protect him from the sting of rejection. What he doesn't realize at first is that pride doesn't protect love, it suffocates it. The longer he hides behind it, the more distance grows between him and the person he cares about, but it takes time for him to see that. Eventually, his pride starts to feel heavy. The silence he once thought made him strong begins to feel like loneliness. That's when his vulnerability starts knocking louder. It's not that he didn't want to be open. It's that he needed to reach the point where silence hurt more than honesty. So when you're dealing with a man who's quiet, guarded, or distant, understand that it's not always coldness. Sometimes it's pride standing in the way of his vulnerability. He's trying to unlearn years of conditioning that told him love makes a man weak. But what he'll eventually discover is that real strength isn't in pretending not to care. It's in being brave enough to admit that he does. And when that pride finally breaks, that's when his heart begins to speak. When he truly starts missing you, he replays every memory. That's when the quiet moments turn into flashbacks. He might be sitting alone in his car, driving home from work, or lying in bed late at night, and suddenly a memory hits him. The sound of your laughter, the way you'd say his name, the scent of your perfume when you walked by. It's not planned, it just happens. Because once a man starts to miss a woman, his mind becomes a movie theater that never stops replaying her. Every little detail he thought he forgot starts to come back to life, and those memories start carrying more weight than they ever did before. He'll remember the way you smiled at him when he was talking about his dreams, the way you calmed him down when life got rough, and the way you believed in him when he doubted himself. He'll think about those moments he took for granted, the simple text you used to send every morning, the way you used to check on him, or the way you listened without judging. Those things didn't seem like much back then, but now they're priceless, because once you're gone, that absence has a sound. It's the silence between what was said and what he wishes he'd said. He starts realizing that the things that used to annoy him don't even matter anymore. The small arguments, the misunderstandings, the pride, none of that stands out anymore. What stands out are the good moments, the warmth, the comfort, and the connection. And it's funny how the heart works. When you have someone, you notice their flaws, but when you lose them, you remember their essence. That's exactly what happens when a man starts missing you deeply. He stops seeing what went wrong and starts seeing what was right. Those memories start following him everywhere. A certain song reminds him of you. A restaurant makes him think of that one night you shared together. even a random phrase someone says might echo something you once told him. That's when he starts realizing how deeply